Man, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of EOS. It's 1090 Jake, man. I'm rocking with Charlie, y'all rocking with me. And for this video, I'm going to be covering one of the most disturbing cases I've ever spoke on this channel. And unfortunately, it involves an infant. Florida man. Two words that will take you down a rabbit hole of crime and stupidity. It's no secret Florida is a third world country that America was kind enough to claim. And yet again, I have another mind-blowing story coming out of Florida of a schizophrenic man that snapped. On December 12, 2020, Broward County Sheriffs responded to 2771 12th Court in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, after a chilling 911 call. A frantic woman can be heard in the background, the neighbor making the call to police. Deputies making contact with a black female who banged on the door screaming for her neighbor's help. She was transported to a medical center with a dislocated left thumb and lacerations on both forearms. Deputies noticed an infant laying face down in the front yard of a neighboring house with a broken window, appearing to suffer from a skull fracture and her nose that was bitten off. She was immediately transported with potentially life-threatening injuries to a hospital. While outside of the residence, police observed a black male identified as Pierre Francois exit the home where the infant was found. He began walking away, taking up a fighting stance as deputies attempted to take him into custody, then fleeing the area. He was apprehended a short time later and was also transported to a medical center. A protective sweep was conducted at the residence in an attempt to locate any additional injured victims. Just inside the front door, a knife was in plain view. A third victim was found, an adult woman suffering from a slashed throat and multiple lacerations to her face. She was then transported to a medical center with potentially life-threatening injuries. The neighbor who contacted police said she was woken up by someone banging on the door. She answered the door to see her neighbor bleeding, saying her schizophrenic son had just had an episode. She said Pierre was beating her and asking her what she did with his mother, even though she was his mother. She heard her grandchild's mother yell out, "Don't hit us," before hearing nothing but silence. She then saw Pierre throw his infant daughter through the front window and into the lawn. The neighbor described seeing the mother's cuts on her arms and face, Pierre walking out and ignoring police commands to put his hands up, and the child's mother being taken out by paramedics. Everything had taken place inside of that home. Detectives made contact with Pierre's mother. Large lacerations seen on both forearms. She said she was asleep in her room when Pierre came in acting like he was mad. He started punching walls and doors, and when she told him to stop before he hurts himself, he started beating her. Pierre was screaming at her to stop hurting his mother, as she pled that she was his mother. He then grabbed a 2x4 piece of wood and began striking her as she blocked her face with her forearms. She fell, unable to get up because she kept slipping in her own blood. Pierre told her to stay where she was as he made his way to his child's mother, who was holding their infant. The mother could hear him hitting both of them, and as she got up to escape the home, she could hear the little infant girl screaming, crying. She'd knocked on several neighbors' doors before finally someone answered. She told detectives Pierre had been diagnosed schizophrenic and had been off of his meds, and she believed he was under the influence of some drug as he wasn't himself. He couldn't even recognize his own mother. She said she believes Pierre would have continued to beat her and possibly kill her had she not escaped. He needs help, as he's a danger to himself and others and should never have been allowed to have custody of his infant child. Detectives made contact with the emergency room holding Pierre. He had to be sedated after becoming upset with another person in the hospital he blamed for hurting his mother. Pierre had a penetrating wound in his back, a small laceration on his head, both legs, and on his shoulder. The nurse was unsure at this time if he'd have to be admitted for his injuries. Detectives then made their way to the pediatric intensive care unit. The infant girl intubated and unresponsive. The doctor saying the baby is on life support, suffering a traumatic brain injury and a possible brain bleed. The mother was also intubated and unresponsive. A large laceration on her neck, bandages covering her face. Her trachea had been slashed, her liver slashed through, her face slashed, and her eyes had been stabbed repeatedly with a knife to the point she will be permanently blind if she survives. But the poor baby girl is likely to not survive her injuries. 29-year-old Pierre, the 6'1", 195-pound man, was arrested and charged with 3 counts of attempted murder, aggravated battery with a deadly weapon, and he remains in the Broward County Jail with a $550,000 bond. Now, hearing this case after reading the police report, the affidavit, this would be the one guy that if police killed, nobody would feel bad. And this is somebody that should be given an express pass. You know, like at Disney or at any theme park, you got the express pass, the front of the line. He should be given an express pass to fucking death row. He should just be killed immediately. I don't know. He had no history of crime. But what he did, it's unforgivable. It's evil. And to say, that he's schizophrenic, to give an excuse as to why this thing happened. Who was responsible for him? Because if you have somebody that if they don't take their medication, they bite their fucking kid's nose off and throw them through a window before stabbing their girlfriend's eyes out, he should be either inside of a facility already for the rest of his life, or have a 24/7 caregiver that's force feeding him this fucking medication. Because if we had a guy, right, and you're told, oh, hey, this is so-and-so, and if he doesn't take this pill, he starts raping people. But we're not going to supervise him. We're just going to let him be in public, and we're not going to force him to take his medication. If he decides to skip a pill, it is what it is. Then he shouldn't be free. He should be in a fucking facility where they're making him take this medication. And I've seen crazy motherfuckers inside of prison. They're not forced to take their meds. They don't have to. And if they go to confinement because they're not listening, whatever, they get into it with medical, all that happens is the COs will abuse them. They'll put them in a cell with someone that'll beat the shit out of them. The COs will gas them. And then you got some crazy guys in prison that kill people for no fucking reason. They just snap because they're not getting the mental health care that they actually fucking need. They shouldn't even be in prison. They should be in a mental health facility. So if we're gonna excuse him by saying he committed his crimes because of his mental health issue, disease, whatever the fuck it is, then who was responsible? Did the system fail him? Did his parents fail him? His mother, his girlfriend? Who was responsible for this man that they felt safe enough to diagnose him with this shit and give him medication but leave him in society? And he never committed anything violent before. So it's tough and confusing as to how to prevent something like this. But the fact that he did that to that baby girl, I don't know. I just feel like he should be killed immediately. I don't feel like you can save a person like that and there's a reason to continuously let someone like that live. I don't see the reason. It's tough because I'm trying not to base what I'm saying off of emotion, even though I am. Because if it isn't truly his fault, somebody needs to be fucking punished. The fact that he has a bond, the judge should be slapped in her fucking face. I don't even understand that. Why would he be given a bond? You know what the fuck he just did. Why would there even be a potential for him to be released if this motherfucker is doing the shit that he's doing? This doesn't make any goddamn sense to me. It's terrible, it's disgusting, it's sad as hell that this happened. If the mother survives, understand she's permanently blind. She will survive in darkness. She will never be able to see the face of her child again. The face of her child won't even feel the same because the baby's nose has been bitten off. And from what I've been reading, it doesn't sound like that baby is gonna survive. If she does survive, I'm sure she's gonna have permanent damage from the brain injury that she's suffering, which is gonna make it even harder raising her, knowing that the mother herself is now disabled. She can't see. Her eyes were literally stabbed out like a fucking horror movie. And I wish there was a GoFundMe that I would be able to link to this video so that we could somewhat donate and help in some type of fucking way. I'm not even sure how we could. But if one does come up, please comment the link in the comment section so I can pin it. This is a terrible, disturbing fucking case. And I have a daughter. It's very hard to feel sympathetic for this man, even though he's battling something mentally that I can't understand. And at first, when I heard him beating his mother and he was saying, "Stop hurting my mother," the first thing that came to my mind was he's talking to himself. What if he is inside of his own head, watching himself do something he has no control over? He's telling himself, "Stop hurting my mother." He wasn't talking to her, he's saying it to himself. But his physical body has been taken over by something else. It would almost be the equivalent of being in prison inside of your own mind as someone else takes the wheel. It's insane. I don't know. I don't have an understanding for this shit. It's crazy. I'll keep y'all posted on the case. It's 1090J. I'm rocking with y'all. Y'all rocking with me. Till next time.